They said her name with disgust. Court-martial her. The words echoed across the concrete chamber of Forward Command Base Ravenhold, heavy as artillery fire. Every officer seated around the long steel table felt it. Some stiffened, some smirked, some avoided eye contact altogether. Captain Alina Cross stood alone in the center of the room, hands clasped behind her back, spine straight, chin level, face unreadable. Her uniform was immaculate despite having come straight from the airstrip. Dust still clung faintly to her boots. A thin scar traced her jawline, barely visible but unmistakable. The ribbon rack on her chest was minimal. Too minimal for someone who had been deployed as often as she had. General Marcus Hale sat at the head of the table, fingers steepled, eyes cold with certainty. "You disobeyed a direct order," he said. "You compromised a joint operation. You assaulted a superior officer, and you refused to explain yourself." Silence. Alina didn't blink. Hale leaned back. "That silence will not save you, Captain." Still nothing that a colonel to Hale's right muttered. "Typical. Thinks she's untouchable." Someone else snorted quietly. Hale raised a hand. "Let the record show that Captain Alina Cross is hereby placed under arrest pending court-martial proceedings for insubordination, dereliction of duty, and conduct unbecoming of an officer." Two military police stepped forward. The room felt satisfied. This was order being restored. A troublesome officer finally put in her place. None of them knew who she really was. Not one as the MPs closed in. Alina finally spoke. "General," she said calmly, her voice steady, controlled. "You may want to make one phone call before you do this." Hale laughed. An actual laugh? To whom? He asked. "Your lawyer." "No," she replied. "The president." That earned a few chuckles. Hale leaned forward again, eyes hard. "This is not a joke, Captain. It wasn't meant to be." The MPs hesitated, unsure whether to proceed. Hale snapped, "Take her." They did. Alina allowed herself to be escorted away without resistance as the heavy steel doors shut behind her. General Hale exhaled through his nose. "Finally," he said. "I'm tired of operators who think the rules don't apply to them." If only he knew. The holding cell was small, reinforced, and cold. Alina sat on the narrow bench, hands resting loosely on her knees. She looked almost bored. Inside her head, the clock was ticking. She had warned him. She closed her eyes briefly and let her thoughts drift, not to the cell, not to the accusation, but to 6 months earlier to a night with no moon. A country that officially didn't exist on any deployment map. The mission that had started all of this. The helicopter flew low, hugging the mountain ridges, rotors slicing through black air. Alina sat strapped in, night vision goggles down, weapon secured but ready. Across from her were 3 men wearing no insignia, no names, no flags. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. The man beside her finally broke the silence. "Once we touch down," he said quietly, "you're on your own." Alina nodded. "I always am." The helo flared and dropped fast into a clearing carved from stone and shadow. She moved before the skids even touched ground, vanished into darkness. Radio chatter. No lockup. No extraction window, because this mission wasn't supposed to exist. Inside the compound, alarms never sounded. Guards went down silently. Cameras looped. Doors opened as if welcoming her. She reached the inner chamber in under 7 minutes. Inside were documents that could collapse governments. Names, accounts, orders signed in blood and bribes, and one man, alive, terrified, powerful. She didn't kill him. She took what she needed and left by dawn. She was gone by noon. Half a dozen intelligence agencies across the world were quietly panicking. And somewhere far above them all, a single secure line rang in the Oval Office. "That's what the president said after listening for less than 10 seconds. "Gimme Cross." Back in the cell, Alina opened her eyes. She knew how this would end. But the waiting was always the worst part. General Hale didn't sleep well that night, that he told himself it was nothing. Stress, age, responsibility. But when his secure phone buzzed at 0300 hours, his stomach tightened. Only one number could bypass all his firewalls. He answered instantly. Yes, sir. There was no greeting on the other end, just a voice, calm and deadly serious. General Hale, the president said, who is Captain Alina Cross to you? Hale Fronit. An insubordinate officer currently under arrest, sir. Silence. Then, release her. Hale Sitrektenet. Sir, immediately. With respect, Mr. President, she violated General, the president cut in. Do you know what a level black operative is? Hale swallowed. Yes, sir. How many exist? Very few. And who authorizes them? Hale's mouth went dry. You do, sir. Another pause. Captain Alina Cross does not report to you, the president said. She reports to me. The line went dead. Hale sat frozen. His certainty cracked. When the cell door opened, Alina was standing. She didn't smile. She didn't gloat. She simply stepped forward as the MP snapped to attention, eyes wide with realization. Captain Cross, he said nervously. You're free to go. She walked past him, back into the light, back into the base, back toward a reckoning that had only just begun. General Hale waited in the command chamber, alone. When she entered, he stood instinctively. She stopped 3 feet from him. For the first time, he really looked at her. Not as a problem, not as a subordinate, but as something else, something dangerous. Sir, she said calmly. He cleared his throat. Captain Cross, permission to speak freely? He hesitated. Granted, you should never threaten to court-martial someone you don't fully understand. The words were not angry. They were factual, and they terrified him. She turned to leave. Captain, Hale said quickly. What exactly are you? She paused at the door. Then, without turning around, she answered, I'm the reason some wars never start. And she walked out. The military medal you're watching, her brave stripes. If you love powerful military stories about fearless women, subscribe now and become part of this channel. Backhand index pointing down, where are you watching from? Tell us in the comments. The base did not feel the same after that night. That IT wasn't loud. There were no alarms, no announcements, no visible changes to protocol. But something invisible had shifted, like pressure before a storm. Whispers traveled faster than official orders. She was released. From solitary? By presidential authority. No way. I heard Hale got a call at 3 in the morning. By sunrise, everyone knew one thing for sure. Captain Alina Cross was not just another officer, and that made her more dangerous than ever. Alina walked the flight line alone, the early light cutting across the tarmac in long amber streaks. Helicopters sat dormant, mechanics moving around them like ants, pretending not to stare. She felt eyes on her back. Always, she didn't mind. Fear was useful. Confusion even more so. Her secure wristband vibrated once. She stopped, glanced down casually. Level black. Oh, signature. No explanation, just 4 words beneath it. Stand by. Observe. Do not engage. That was unusual. Normally, when that band activated, the world burned quietly somewhere far away. She continued walking. General Hale hadn't left his office. His aides had offered coffee. He waved them away. Offered breakfast. Ignored it. He sat behind his desk, hands flat on the surface, staring at a classified file, now open in front of him. That IT had appeared on his terminal less than an hour. 8G. No authorization trail. Just there. The header alone made his chest tighten. But Alina Cross. Restricted access. Presidential. He scrolled. His mouth went dry. Redacted lines filled most of the page, but what remained was enough. Operations conducted in countries that officially denied U.S. presence. Missions that ended conflicts before they began. Targets neutralized without attribution. Assets extracted that intelligence agencies claimed never existed. And beneath it all, designation, Aegis 7 status. City handler. U.S. Hale leaned back slowly. He had nearly court-martialed a ghost, and worse, that a weapon the nation pretended it didn't have. The briefing room filled fast. Not because it was ordered, because curiosity outweighed fear. When Alina entered, the room went silent, and no one took a seat until she did. She stood at the front, hands behind her back, posture relaxed but commanding. A projector flickered on behind her without her touching it. A map appeared. Red zones pulsed across 3 continents. Listen carefully, she said, because I'm only going to say this once. Every eye locked on her. The operation you believe I compromised? The one General Hale accused me of sabotaging? She tapped a control on her wrist. The map zoomed in. A convoy. A desert road. Satellite imagery. That convoy was not carrying weapons. Murmurs rippled. It was carrying people, Alina continued. Scientists. Engineers. 2 children. She looked directly at Hale. Your intel was wrong. How is city finite? Our sources were fed false data by a foreign intelligence service that wanted you to pull the trigger, she said flatly. You would have started a war within 48 hours. Silence. She changed the image. Now the document. Classified markings. Foreign signatures. I intercepted it, she said. Alone. Off-grid. Because I was ordered to. Someone swallowed audibly. A colonel raised a hand cautiously. Ordered by whom? Alina didn't hesitate. The President of the United States. That ended the questions. The attack came that night. Not loud. Not chaotic, precise. The power flickered once, then went out. Emergency lights kicked in too late. Alarms died mid-wail. The base fell into a silence, so sudden it felt artificial. Alina was already moving. Her band vibrated hard this time. Engage. Full authority granted. She didn't run. She walked. Shots rang out near the eastern perimeter. She altered course. Point 3 hostiles. Suppressed rifles. Advanced gear. They never saw her. She disarmed the first, broke his neck with a twist, used his body as cover while firing 2 rounds into the second. The third tried to retreat. He made it 6 steps by the time backup arrived. It was over. The attackers were dead, and Alina Cross was gone. She stood on a ridge overlooking the base, wind pulling at her hair, night swallowing her silhouette, but a secure call connected. Yes, she said. The president's voice was calm. You were right. I know. They're escalating. They always do. A pause. You'll need full deniability. Alina smiled faintly. When don't I? The line disconnected. She turned and disappeared into the dark. Point 3 days later, General Hale stood before tribunal. Not accused. Informed. The panel was small. Civilian. Unyielding. You are to forget Captain Alina Cross, one of them said. Her name, her face, her existence. Hale nodded. You will continue command as if none of this occurred. Yes, sir. And if she ever walks into your base again? Hale didn't hesitate. I will give her whatever she asks for. The panel dismissed him. Somewhere far away, Alina completed another mission no one would ever hear about. Another disaster quietly prevented. Another line erased from history. She cleaned her weapon, sat alone, and watched the sunrise. Her wristband dimmed. Inactive. For now, that military medal you're watching, her brave stripes, stories of fearless women, hidden wars, and silent heroes. Backhand index pointing right. Subscribe if you believe courage doesn't need permission. Speech balloon, where are you watching from? Tell us in the comments below.